Crossing Millie's woods, the copse for which she'd soon be named, the bear came to a place where she could see farmstead lights spread across the floor of the Mission Valley, glittering like shards of a bottle dropped from a great height. While darkness thickened, she shuffled along a well-worn game trail, giving a generous berth to barnyards and houses. Hearing the faraway barking of dogs, she kept to the low ground of potholes and sloughs. She came in search of ripening apples and the choke cherries weighing down the branches along the banks of irrigation canals. Descending step by cautious step, keeping pace with the night, she left the mission range behind. In doing so, she walked out of a wilderness that has remained essentially unchanged since the end of the last ice age, and into an unforgiving Arcadia. The primeval valley, the fertile, deep soil that had succored native people and grizzly bears for thousands of years, was hidden by roads, power lines, prefabricated ranch-style houses, tilled fields, and uncountable miles of barbed wire fence. Cars and trucks hurtled day and night along Highway 93. Except for the timbered corridors along streams, the land was settled, cleared, and cropped. There were pastures and hayfields, gardens and chicken coops, pigsties, grain bins, and trash piles, all manner of things that could lead a bear into conflict with people or livestock, and therefore to ruin. The farms were small by Montana standards, with most holdings measuring between 20 and 80 acres. The landscape was not paved over or entirely ruined for a grizzly bear's purposes, as parts of the Missoula and Bitterroot valleys are, but it was a difficult, dangerous place to survive. She passed near Shock's Mission View Dairy, a family operation with a ramshackle milking parlor and a wide yellow Quonset barn. Crossing behind the buildings, she heard the thick-voiced lowing of cows. She kept clear of it, padding northward toward the shelter of a brushy stream. Nearing East Post Creek Road, she came to where the Shock family had planted their first field of silage corn, a crop that would be harvested to feed dairy cows through winter. Crossing gravel, leaving long-clawed tracks in the borrow ditches, she slipped in among the stalks. Corn closed around on all sides. Stillness descended, and broad leaves hissed across her shoulders. Ripe ears tapped her muzzle. With the fantastic acuity of a bear's nose, she smelled a faint sweetness all around. Instead of shambling ahead toward the half-wild, overgrown orchards along Post Creek, she stopped. Stretching out a forepaw, the sow snapped off a cornstalk at the base. Sitting back on her haunches, laboring delicately with paws strong enough to break the spine of an elk, she brought an ear to her mouth and chewed. She tasted pulped kernels, husk, and silk. White gold liquid dripped from her lips. With 3-inch-long claws working as precisely as forceps, she husked another ear. The corn was as endless as her hunger, and under the pale moon she gorged to the cusp of bursting. When she could hold no more, she rested. The field seemed a good, safe place at night. Though she retreated to the mountains before daylight, she returned again at dusk. Every year a bear must solve a simple but unforgiving problem. Coming out of hibernation as thin as a rail, each grizzly must gain enough weight in the months between April and November to last through winter. From a bear's perspective, the cornfield offered a perfect solution. An infinite carbohydrate-rich source of food that ripened just as summer became fall. Having discovered the crop, the sow could no more desert it than stop breathing. There were other sources of food, apples, plums, and accumulations of insects high in the peaks, but she always returned to the corn. Nothing else was as sure or as plentiful. She frequented the field, and other grizzlies joined her. Yearlings adrift from their mothers blundered across the crop. Ponderous, full-grown boars lumbered into the field and began to eat. Sows arrived with their new cubs, sought secluded corners, and fed. Night after night their numbers grew. The grizzlies toppled stalks,